You don't have a discipline problem. You have an identity problem. Because if you were truly disciplined, you wouldn't be starting over every Monday. You wouldn't need motivation to do things you already decided mattered. You wouldn't feel that quiet guilt sitting in your chest every night, telling you that you wasted another day pretending you'll change tomorrow. But you do. And deep down, you already know why. It's not because you don't know what to do. You know exactly what to do. Wake up earlier. Stop scrolling. Do the work. Stay consistent. Simple? So why don't you? Why do you keep breaking promises to yourself like they don't matter? Why do you feel strong one day and weak the next? Why does your motivation disappear the moment things get boring, repetitive, or uncomfortable? Because the truth is ugly. You don't trust yourself, not fully. You've trained your brain to expect inconsistency. You've shown yourself again and again that you can start strong, but you won't finish. That you can feel inspired, but you won't sustain it. And now, even when you say this time is different, a part of you doesn't believe it. That's the real problem. Not laziness, not lack of information. It's that your identity is built on inconsistency. And until that changes, nothing else will. You can read every book, watch every video, set every goal. But if the person doing those things is still the same, you'll keep getting the same results. So the real question isn't how do I become consistent? The real question is, why have you been so committed to being inconsistent? And more importantly, are you ready to face that answer? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it, and from that point on, every excuse you make will feel fake. The enemy isn't your schedule. It's not your time. It's not even your habits. The enemy is far more dangerous because you don't see it. It's the belief that you can rely on how you feel. That's what's been running your life. You wake up and check your mood before you check your mission. If you feel good, you work. If you don't, you delay. If you feel inspired, you go all in. If you don't, you tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. And slowly, without realizing it, you've built a system where your results are controlled by your emotions. That's not discipline. That's dependence. And it's killing your consistency. Because feelings are unstable. They change fast. They don't care about your goals. They don't care about your future. They only care about what's comfortable right now. And you've been listening to them like they're in charge. Think about it. How many times have you said, I'm just not feeling it today. I'll do it later. I need to be in the right mindset. That sounds harmless, but it's not. It's conditioning. You're training your brain to believe that action requires emotion. So when the emotion isn't there, action disappears. That's the trap. And it gets worse. Because every time you follow your feelings instead of your decisions, you weaken something inside you. You weaken your authority. You weaken your self-respect. You teach yourself that your word means nothing. And once that happens, consistency becomes almost impossible. Because consistency isn't about intensity. It's about trust. And you don't trust someone who keeps breaking their own promises. Even if that someone is you. So you try to fix it. You watch motivation videos. You get pumped. You say, this is it, I'm changing. And for a few days, you actually do. You wake up early. You focus. You feel in control. But then something small happens. You get tired. You get distracted. You skip one day, and suddenly, everything collapses. Not because you're incapable, but because you never fixed the real enemy. You're still relying on emotion to drive action. And emotion always fades. Always. So you end up in this loop. Start strong. Lose momentum. Feel guilty. Reset. Repeat. Again and again. And every time you go through it, something inside you gets weaker. Your belief, your confidence, your identity. Until one day, you stop even trying as hard. Because a part of you expects failure. That's what the enemy does. It doesn't destroy you all at once. It erodes you slowly, quietly, until inconsistency feels normal. Until quitting feels justified. Until discipline feels impossible. And by then, you're not even fighting anymore. You're just managing the damage. telling yourself you'll do better next week, next month, next year, but nothing changes because the enemy is still there, controlling everything from the shadows. You don't feel stuck because you're lazy. You feel stuck because your brain is trapped in a pattern it thinks is safe. And that pattern is built on one simple idea: avoid discomfort. Every time you try to be consistent, you run into resistance. Not physical resistance, mental resistance. That voice that says, "This is boring, this is too hard. You deserve a break. Just skip today." And it feels real. It feels logical. But it's not truth. It's protection. Your brain is trying to keep you in familiar territory because consistency requires repetition. And repetition is uncomfortable. It's not exciting. It's not new. It doesn't give you instant reward. So your brain pushes back hard. And here's where the trap gets deeper. You think the problem is the task. You think, maybe this isn't the right plan. Maybe I need a better system. Maybe I need more motivation. But the truth is, you're trying to escape the feeling, not fix the problem. So you change strategies. You start something new. And for a moment, it feels better, fresh, exciting, easy. But then the same thing happens. The discomfort comes back. The resistance returns. And you quit again. Different plan, same pattern. That's the loop. And it's not random. It's psychological. You've trained your brain to associate consistency with discomfort and quitting with relief. So every time things get hard, your brain pushes you toward quitting, not because it's right, but because it's familiar. And you follow it. Because in that moment, relief feels more important than progress. That's why you feel tired all the time. Not because you're doing too much, but because you're constantly restarting. Starting over is exhausting. Rebuilding momentum is exhausting. Breaking your own trust is exhausting. And deep down, you know it. You know you're capable of more. You know you're wasting time. You know this version of you isn't the one you're supposed to be. But knowing isn't enough. Because your behavior is still controlled by that loop. Feel discomfort. Avoid it. Feel relief. Repeat. And every cycle reinforces the identity you're trying to escape. The inconsistent one. The one who starts but doesn't finish. The one who wants change but won't endure the process. That's the psychological trap. And until you break it, nothing else will matter. Not your goals, not your plans, not your intentions. Because you don't rise to your ambitions. You fall to your patterns. You've been sold a lie, not once, not twice, over and over again. The lie sounds good. It feels right. It even gives you hope. But it's the reason you keep failing. The lie is this: you just need more motivation. So you chase it. You watch videos, you listen to speeches, you read quotes from Napoleon Hill and others. For a moment you feel powerful. You feel ready. You feel like this time you're different. And then it fades, always. Because motivation is not designed to last. It's a spike, a temporary emotional high. And you've been trying to build a permanent life on temporary energy. That's not just ineffective, it's stupid. Think about it. If consistency depended on motivation, nobody would ever succeed long term. Because no one feels motivated every day. Not even the people you admire. They just stop depending on it. But you haven't. You've built a system where you only act when you feel like it. And then you wonder why nothing sticks. Another lie you've been fed. Make it easy. Start small. Don't push too hard. Sounds smart, right? But here's the problem. You didn't use that advice to build momentum. You used it to avoid pressure. You made everything so easy that it stopped meaning anything. No urgency, no standards, no consequences. So skipping a day doesn't feel like failure. It feels normal. That's not strategy. That's avoidance disguised as wisdom. Then there's hustle culture. Go all in. Grind 24/7. Outwork everyone. So you try that too. You go extreme. You push hard. You overload your day. And for a short time it works, until it doesn't, because intensity without structure leads to burnout. And burnout leads to collapse. So now you swing between two extremes. Too soft or too hard. Too relaxed or completely overwhelmed. And in both cases, you lose consistency. That's the pattern you've been stuck in. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You've been looking for a solution that removes discomfort. But consistency doesn't work like that. There is no version of this where it feels good every day. There is no system that eliminates resistance. There is no mindset where you wake up excited forever. That's fantasy. And as long as you keep chasing that fantasy, you'll stay stuck. Because you're solving the wrong problem. You're not supposed to feel good. You're supposed to show up, even when it's boring. Even when it's repetitive. Even when you don't care. That's the part you've been avoiding. And until you accept that, nothing changes. The shift doesn't come from a new routine. It comes from a new decision. A hard one. One you can't fake. You stop negotiating with yourself. That's it. Simple. But brutal. Because right now, everything in your life is negotiable. Your goals, flexible. Your habits, optional. Your standards, adjustable based on mood. That's why you keep slipping. Because every time it gets uncomfortable, you open the door to debate. Should I do this today? Maybe I can skip. I'll make up for it later. No, that's the moment you lose. Not when you skip. When you start negotiating. Because once the conversation begins, your weaker side will win. It always does. So the shift is this. You remove the option. You decide once. And then you stop deciding. That's how people like Napoleon Hill thought. They didn't rely on daily motivation. They locked in a direction. And then they aligned their behavior with it no matter what. No drama, no overthinking, no emotional debate, just execution. This is where most people break. Because it feels restrictive. It feels intense. It feels like pressure. But what you don't see is that pressure creates freedom. When you remove negotiation, you remove doubt. When you remove doubt, you remove delay. And when you remove delay, you become consistent. Not because you feel like it, but because it's no longer a question. That's the turning point. And here's where I want you to be honest. Not with me, with yourself. Drop a comment. No more negotiation. Not to look good, not to follow along, but as a line. Because if you don't draw that line, nothing else matters. Now we get into what actually works. Not theory, not hype, a system, but not the kind you're used to. This isn't about perfect routines or color-coded schedules. It's about how you operate mentally. Because consistency is not built in your calendar. It's built in your decisions. And those decisions follow rules. The first rule is this. You act before you feel ready. Always, not sometimes. Not when it's easy. Every time. Because readiness is a lie. You don't feel ready, you become ready by acting. So if you wait, you lose. If you move, you build momentum. That's the trade. And you've been choosing wrong. The second rule. You lower emotion, not standards. Most people do the opposite. They lower standards when they feel low. I'll just do a little today. I'll skip and restart tomorrow. That's how inconsistency grows. Instead, you keep the standard, but you detach from how you feel about it. You don't need to be excited. You don't need to be focused. You just need to show up and complete the task. Clean, simple. Done. The third rule. You respect the boring phase. This is where almost everyone fails. Because the beginning is exciting. The vision is exciting. But the middle, repetitive, slow, unrewarding. That's where consistency is built. And you've been escaping it, jumping to new ideas, new plans, new goals, just to feel that spark again. But every time you do that, you reset progress. You stay stuck at the surface, never deep enough to win. So you stay, even when it's dull. Especially when it's dull. That's the signal you're on the right path. The fourth rule, you track proof, not feelings. Feelings lie. They change. They distort reality. But proof doesn't. Did you do the work? Yes or no? That's it. You don't rate your day based on mood. You rate it based on action. Because consistency is visible, it leaves evidence. And when you see that evidence stack, something shifts. You start trusting yourself again, slowly, quietly, but real. The fifth rule: you don't restart, you continue. This one will hit you because you love the idea of restarting. New week, new month, fresh start. It feels clean, but it's a trap because restarting resets your identity. It tells your brain, we're the kind of person who stops and starts. Instead, you continue, even after a bad day, even after you mess up. No reset, no dramatic comeback, just back to work. That's how consistency forms. Not in perfect streaks, but in uninterrupted direction. The sixth rule: you shrink the gap between decision and action. Right now, your gap is too big. You decide, then you wait, you think, you hesitate, you scroll, and eventually, you don't act. That gap is where inconsistency lives. So you cut it, decision, action, immediate, no delay, no overthinking, because speed kills doubt, and doubt kills consistency. If you're paying attention, you can feel it. This is different, not easier, but clearer, because now it's not about chasing motivation or finding the perfect plan. It's about how you operate every single day. And once that changes, everything else follows. This is where most people quit. Not at the start, not when they're motivated, but right here when things stop feeling new and start feeling real. Because now, it's not about ideas anymore. It's about execution. And execution exposes you. It shows you exactly who you are when no one is watching. This is the internal war, and you will feel it. You'll wake up one day and not want to do anything. No energy, no drive, no reason. And your brain will start talking. Just take a break. You've been doing enough. One day won't matter. It sounds calm, logical, even deserved. But that voice is not on your side. It's the same voice that kept you stuck before. The same pattern, just dressed differently. And this is where people fall. Not because they don't know what to do, but because they listen. They listen, and they stop. And when they stop, something dangerous happens. Old identity takes over. The version of you that avoids discomfort. The version that delays. The version that chooses easy over necessary. It doesn't come back loudly. It slips in quietly. Through small decisions, you skip one task, then another. Then you start saying things like, I'll get back on track tomorrow. And just like that, you're back in the loop. Again, this is the war. Not external, internal. It's you versus you. And the uncomfortable truth is, the weaker version of you knows all your patterns. It knows when you're tired. It knows when you're stressed. It knows when you're vulnerable. And it waits. It waits for the right moment to take control. So if you think consistency is just about building habits, you're not ready. Because habits don't fight back. Identity does. And your old identity will not disappear quietly. It will resist. It will argue. It will try to convince you that stopping is reasonable, that you deserve comfort, that you can start later. And if you're not aware, you'll believe it. Again, so what do? You stop expecting it to get easier. That's the first mistake. You keep thinking, if I stay consistent long enough, this will feel natural. No, it will feel familiar, but not always easy. There will still be days where you don't want to do it. That never fully goes away. What changes is your response. You stop reacting. You stop negotiating. You stop listening to every thought like it matters. You see the voice, but you don't follow it. That's control. And control is built in moments like this. Not when you feel strong. When you don't, that's when it counts. That's when identity is decided. Because every time you act despite resistance, you weaken the old version of you and strengthen the new one. But every time you give in, you reset progress. That's the cost, and you need to feel that. Because right now, you've been treating inconsistency like it's harmless. It's not, it's expensive. Every skipped day costs you momentum. Every broken promise costs you trust. Every delay costs you time you won't get back. And the longer you ignore that, the more you lose. So stop pretending it's small. It's not. This is your life. And it's being shaped by what you do when it's hard, not when it's easy. Now imagine something different. Not a perfect version of you. A real one. A dangerous one. Someone who doesn't rely on motivation. Someone who doesn't restart every week. Someone who doesn't break under pressure. That version exists, but it's not built through hype. It's built through repetition, through showing up when it doesn't feel good, through acting when there's no reward, through staying when it's boring. That's the new identity. And it's quiet. No big announcements, no dramatic changes, just consistency, day after day. And over time, something shifts. You stop asking, should I do this? Because it's already decided. You stop overthinking small actions because you trust yourself to follow through. You stop needing external motivation because your standard is internal. And that changes everything. Because now, your actions are stable. They don't depend on mood. They don't collapse under pressure. They don't disappear when things get uncomfortable. They continue. And that's power. Real power. Not loud. Not visible. But unstoppable. Because consistency compounds. Every day you show up, you build something. Skill, confidence, discipline. And after a while, it becomes undeniable. Not because you said you would change, but because you did, repeatedly. And people notice, not your words, your behavior, because consistent people move differently. They decide faster. They act quicker. They don't waste time debating things that are already set. And that's what you're building. Not a habit, an identity. The kind that doesn't break. The kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that executes, no matter what. Now here's the part you can't avoid. You have a choice. Not later. Not tomorrow. Right now. You either continue being the person who starts and stops, or you become the one who follows through. There's no middle. No balance. No, I'll try. Because trying is what you've been doing, and it hasn't worked. So decide, what kind of person are you? The one who negotiates, or the one who executes? Because you can't be both. And your actions will expose the truth. Not your intentions, not your plans, your actions. So here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, you don't skip, not once. I don't care how you feel. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if it's boring. You show up and you complete what you said you would every single day. No negotiation, no adjustment, no excuses, just execution. And at the end of those 7 days, you look at yourself honestly, not emotionally, logically. Did you follow through or did you break again? Because that answer will tell you everything. Not about your potential, about your standards. And if you're serious about changing, you already know what needs to happen next. Now move. And if you're done pretending, type it. I execute no matter what.